Recording. All right, got it. All righty, we got people coming in. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight for our athletic and wellness panel here at Hamilton. We're going to get started in just another minute or so. Just want to make sure everyone gets logged in who's signed up. My name is Jack Nivison. I'm one of the admission officers at Hamilton. If you feel comfortable doing so, you're welcome to put in the chat, and let us know where you're zooming in from around the country and around the world. We always like seeing where people are zooming in from to learn more about College Hill. But thank you and welcome, and we'll get started in a minute. We got Ohio for the first one. All right, Maryland, New Jersey, Connecticut, Northern Virginia, all over the place. This is cool. Brazil, wow. Massachusetts, New York. All right, Massachusetts, Red Sox got to start winning some games tonight, so I hope that really starts happening. Palestine, Melbourne, Australia, Massachusetts, New York City, all over the place. This is great. We got a lot of New York in a row. That's good. That's good. That's great. Thank you again for everyone joining us. Again, my name is Jack Nivison. I'm one of the admission officers at Hamilton. I'm also for our office, I'm the athletics liaison for the admissions office. So we're here tonight. The name of the panel is Athletics and Wellness at Hamilton, and that's what we're here to learn more about. We're here to learn more about athletics and the wellness opportunities here at Hamilton. This panel will encompass information about physical education courses, varsity athletics, club sports, and intramural sports, our facilities for athletics and fitness, and also our wellness program here. I'm going to turn it over to our panelists, but first I'm going to turn it over to our moderator, who is Kenzie Burton. She's a member of the class of 2022, and she's also a senior admission fellow in our office. She's also a member of the women's swimming and diving team. So Kenzie, I am going to turn it over to you, but welcome everybody, and thank you for being here.
Awesome. Thank you, Jack. As he said, welcome to our little panel. I'm Kenzie. We're going to do some introductions. I'll start with myself, and then we'll go over to John, Dee, and Dave, and then Corey. So I'm Kenzie. I'm a senior, as Jack mentioned. I'm from Oakland, Maine. My major is psychology, and I'm a minor in sociology. And I'm part of the women's swimming and dive team. I'm also the president for Minds for Change, which is a local, our mental health club on campus. We work on reducing stigma around mental health on campus. And I'm also part of the Center for Intersectional Feminism. So pretty busy, which is great. And now I'll pass it on to John.
Thanks so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jon Hind. I'm a 1980 Hamilton graduate. I majored in mathematics and economics. Played football and lacrosse while I was here, and I'm now director of athletics and a professor in physical education here at the college. Dave?
Thanks, John. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in tonight. My name is Dave Thompson, and I have the great job of running our fitness center, our wellness program, intramural sports. I've also run the club program and recreation. I've been at Hamilton, proud to say, since 1983, and it's been a great ride. Happy to see you tonight, and I'll turn it over to Deirdre.
Hi, everyone. As Dave just said, I'm Deirdre Pearson, and I am currently the Associate Director of Athletics, as well as their Senior Women Administrator with the college. I also handle the diversity, equity, and inclusion for our athletics area. And then I'm also the compliance director. I have also been a coach at the college, which was a wonderful joy. I coached in the women's basketball program. And prior to that, I was at other high academic institutions coaching women's basketball. I guess I will turn this over to Corey. You're next.
Hello, everybody. My name is Corey Jones. I'm a junior, class of 23. I'm a pre-med biochem major, and I run track and play football here.
Awesome. Okay, so we have a bunch of questions that we're going to talk about throughout our panel, but also feel free to drop any into the Q&A section below. We have some admissions officers working behind the scenes to help get those answered and make sure we go over that with all your questions. If we don't get to your question, also please feel to email admission@hamilton.edu just to get those answered for you. So we're going to start off by going over a few different categories. The first is going to be general wellness and fitness, then varsity athletics, club and intramural sports, and at the end, just some fun questions for our panelists. So stick with us. We're going to start just with John. What is the college's philosophy toward health, wellness, and fitness?
Thank you, Kenzie. Our philosophy is one of participation and being active. When you look at our entire community, we do a lot of programming specific to our students, but also include a lot of additional programming for our faculty and staff. Coming back around to the students, around a third participate in our intercollegiate athletic program. An additional we push up to just above 50% when we're inclusive of participants in our club sports. Then when we throw in intramurals and recreation, we're up around 75% of our student population. And we hit 100% because we have a robust physical education program where everybody is involved as a student. And so we want people really active here on in our community and on our campus. I'll turn it to Dave to get more in depth with respect to our offerings.
Thanks, John. You know, I am pleased to say that Hamilton has a great history of health and wellness, and it started all many years ago with our physical education program. We have a required physical education program, and it's multifaceted, and it has contained a wellness component since the early 80s, which is pretty unusual. Most colleges have introduced wellness in only the recent years, but we've had wellness here since, like I said, the early 80s. The college has backed up their philosophy by providing great facilities, and I won't go into details now. I know John will want to talk about that a little later, but when we decided to go all the way in with wellness as an offshoot of our physical education program, we backed it up with a wonderful fitness center. I'm sitting in it now. You can see some of the equipment back there. But back in 2006, we built an $11 million fitness facility. It is well used. We do a lot of programming out of here. And there are many other facilities, indoor and outdoor, that go along with it that allow us to run a very broad-based program. I'll talk about the specific offerings later, but Hamilton's philosophy has been to provide as broad-based a program as possible. There's something for everyone here, from the absolute novice right up to the varsity athlete.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for touching on that. I think I can touch a little bit on the student perspective of health and wellness as well, and then I'll let Corey jump in. I think going off what Dave said, like we have really great facilities and just like students who are really active and want to be taking care of themselves and their mental and physical well-being. I often see people just like going for a Peloton or going for a jog around campus, which is really awesome to see. Even the non-athletes, and when I'm not in season, I definitely spend a lot of time still in the athletic facility. Even now when I'm at the pool, there's not just swimmers there, there's like a lot of other students getting active and enjoying what Hamilton has to offer, which is really awesome to see. And going off that, the gym requirements and physical education requirements really touch on those, but you can have a wide variety of options, which we'll go over a little bit later. Corey, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I also agree with you. I think a big thing, a big staple at Hamilton is definitely the facilities that we have and all the things we have access to. I think a thing I would touch on, and I think is really cool as well, is, you know, outside of having the facilities and, you know, physical things people can use, we have a lot of like clubs and programs and events that go on for wellness as well. There's yoga instruction and people that run in the running club that don't necessarily need to be athletes or part of a particular team to be able to get active and do something that they're really interested in. So there's tons of facets for people to get involved in being healthy or, you know, being invested in their wellness here.
Yeah, absolutely. Great points. I love the power yoga. That's my favorite program that we offer. Big fan. But I think going off that, we talked a little bit about like the facilities that have been built in terms of the athletic facility, but Dave, I didn't know if you want to touch a little bit more about the other facilities that we offer in terms of health and wellness, like the health center.
Well, what don't we have, right? So, you know, where do I start? I mean, you know, outdoors, you know, I want to put a quick plug in for the outdoor rec people. It's not part of our department, but, you know, you think about it this time of year, you know, today, just for all you folks all over the country and the world, today was one of the first days where it was just a magnificent fall day on campus. It was the first crisp day, and the outdoor rec people, they have all the toys and all the equipment for doing anything you can think of outside. from climbing to kayaking and all that. For us, we have, I don't know, John, how many artificial fields do we have now, and grass fields and trails to walk and run and snowshoe and ski on. And we have a world-class golf facility, a golf training facility. We have a beautiful 12-court tennis court that's really very new. Artificial turf, softball and baseball fields, one of the most magnificent grass soccer fields you'll ever see. And it goes on and on. Indoors, we have a great swimming pool. Obviously, this facility, we have a great historic rink. We have a field house and racquetball courts and a wonderful squash facility. So, we're really not wanting for anything here. There's really no excuse. There's something to do for everybody here. Every sport is covered. Really, we're very fortunate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and if I could just add one thing Dave didn't mention, and that is that none of our facilities are exclusive to athletes. Our facilities are open and available to everyone. Obviously, there are times when facilities are scheduled out or being used by an intercollegiate program or a club team. But in general, all of our facilities are here for everyone to use and enjoy.
Absolutely. I love that part because I can, go ice skating or do something different besides just swimming, which can get, tiring every once in a while after a big season. I think just going into like the physical education requirement that we've touched on a little bit. John, do you want to go over a little bit about what the courses are, and can you provide a sampling of what we offer?
Yes, absolutely. I can talk a little bit about our general requirements, and then I'll ask Dee or Dave to chime in and talk about specifically what our offerings are. But everyone here, all of the students here at the college, including myself all the way back in the 70s, participate in physical education here. It's necessary as part of the requirements here. And it's inclusive of a swim test. And if you can't swim, it's not the end of the world. We have a tremendous folks who teach our beginning swimming classes. And by the end, you'll be able to absolutely master the fear of water if that exists, and you'll be able to propel yourself in the pool, guaranteed. We also do a fitness assessment where we give individual feedback to each incoming first-year student. And then we have a 3-course requirement of 3 basically mini courses. They're quarters, if you will, half a semester, 6 weeks, just activity. They're designed to be activity classes to give you exposure to a variety of activities that hopefully will become lifelong activities for you. Dee, if you could elaborate on that, that'd be great.
Sure, thanks, John. What I would add to that is the offerings are all taught by coaches on campus, which I'll provide the coach's perspective on that. So if you're a varsity athlete, or if you're a student looking to involve yourself in the activities classes, you have access to coaches that are very driven, very determined to make sure that you have a good experience in taking on a new activity. I'll give an example for myself. I taught tennis last year. I'm an socially avid tennis player, and I really enjoyed teaching the class. I had students from across the campus, both varsity students, student athletes, as well as athletes that do not participate in the varsity sports. And everyone had access. You learn the basic rules, you understand the basic mechanics of the sport or the activity. And by the end of it, as John's pointed to you with regard to swimming, you come out learning an activity that you're able to hopefully enjoy for the rest of your adult life moving forward. So maybe Dave can speak to some of the offerings, but I thought I'd give you just the perspective from a coach's perspective, in that we are there to ensure that you have a good time learning the activity and come away with an activity you can use through the rest of your life. So maybe Dave, you can speak to the broader offering, or I can speak to that too.
Well, I just wanted to comment that what I've seen over the years is just the evolution of the program, where we're more flexible in the times that we offer classes. Students are busy, and We try to offer classes at times of the day where students can get to them. That's one aspect. The offerings are broader. We have things like spike ball now and bocce ball, and we do basketball. And these are things that we did not do so much in the past. And the other thing that I really appreciate is that we're adding wellness offerings as part of the credit program now. And that's something that I would imagine will continue to grow. And that's been a really great addition to the program in the last few years.
Yeah, I think you touched a little bit on it, Dave, but can you talk a little bit about that outside of physical? Is that what you just mentioned, the credit for the what does that mean? Like, can you talk a little bit about the wellness programs that count for credit? Sorry.
Yeah, right. So we have the PE program, which is part of your requirement. And then there's the wellness program, which is sort of the optional available classes that students can come and go as they please and take whenever they want. So these are classes that we offer mostly in this facility, in the fitness facility, but we also use the pool. We have a swim class that happens every week. We do some classes outside. And these are classes, variety of aerobic style classes. We do some weightlifting classes. We have classes, some people may have heard of PIO. We have Zumba. We do spinning. We've done TRX, and we've done Taekwondo. Over the years, all different types of classes. We even teach a fly fishing class because people have shown an interest in it. It's something that we think is great for a great hobby for people to take up. So these are classes that students can take. Like I said, come and go as they please. They happen at lunchtime. They happen before school starts or after school in the afternoon.
Thank you for that. Corey, you want to talk about like what classes you took to fulfill your physical education requirements?
Yeah, I actually took like a general fitness class with Coach Geisinger, the swim team. And I just kind of did like the fitness test, the swim test, and then like learn how to play bocce ball and frisbee and stuff. It was just a general course.
Absolutely, yeah. So for mine, so varsity athletics counts for one of your credits. So you only have to do 2 if you're on a varsity sport. So one of mine was swimming, and then I actually took wellness with Dave. So that was a fun time. They have a bunch of lecturers come in and talk to us about different aspects of wellness. And then I took dynamic fitness, which you do like running and HIIT type workouts in the morning at like 7 a.m., 8 or 7 a.m. I think it was 7:30 my year, which was really early, but it was a good time. So now, like moving on, John mentioned this a little bit earlier, but how accessible are the fitness center facilities and what equipment is available for student use?
Sure, I'll jump on that one, and then anyone else can chime in. Our facilities are available for everyone. And as Dave said, I don't think you can think of anything that we don't have. And one thing that we do have that we have so many things, but Dave didn't mention, we also now have a relatively brand new indoor turf facility. So we have an indoor practice facility where when you feel like you can't be doing the things you like to do outdoors, all of a sudden in January or February, you're welcome to move your way into that indoor turf building where we have all kinds of activity, football kids, lacrosse kids, soccer kids, field hockey, everybody doing everything in there. And it's pretty much busy from about 6 a.m. till we close it down at 11 or 12 at night. And it has nonstop activity, whether it's physical education, recreation, etc. But yes, our facilities are available and accessible for everyone. As I said, sometimes, for example, you may not be able to go on the ice necessarily at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in December, because chances are one of our varsity hockey programs, our men or our women, are on the ice. But we still find time to have skating classes. We also have a lot of our skating classes are taught by our actual hockey coaches. We have figure skating club that's in there. We have our hockey club that is in there. We have recreational skating that goes on daily. So the rink would be one example where you could be thinking rink equals varsity hockey, but there's so much more that goes on on that ice surface all day. And that would carry on for all of our facilities, whether you want to play pickup basketball, you want to work out in the fitness center, you want to play ultimate frisbee in the indoor building, you want to run on the indoor track or the outdoor track. Everything is accessible and there for people to use.
Thank you. And then I think going off that, are there any, Dave, you can touch a little bit on this, like, are there any other like wellness classes we touched on, but counseling or other services that can be offered to students to help maintain a healthy and balanced life while on campus?
Absolutely. So in addition to the activities that we talked about, you know, there's a number of other things. So the wellness lecture series, which you participated in, that's sort of a double-sided course where it's a credit course, but it's also open to the greater community. So that's a weekly presentation on a different wellness topic that runs for the entire semester that all students are invited to every week. So that's one thing that we're doing. But we do sessions, we do meditation sessions, not only through my program, but at the counseling center, and also the chaplain's office is providing that. We do various sessions in stress management, relaxation. We do sessions on sleep, nutrition, exercise sessions. We've done a lot in the last year and continue to this year on positive psychology and resilience. And we provide wellness coaching for students as well. So we were doing that for quite a few years on the employee side, but in the last 2 or 3 years, we provided wellness coaching for students where they can meet either individually or in small groups with a counselor, and to provide some information about how to sort of cope and manage during stressful times. So that's just to name a few things. That's what we provide through the wellness program.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's also important to know a little bit about like the Johnson Health Center that we have, which has access to counseling services and other forms of like nutritionists and peer counselors, which can help maintain the healthy mental mindset, as well as we touch a little bit on the Outdoor Leadership Center and the opportunities to get outside and do a bunch of the fun stuff that Clinton, New York has to offer. And then also the climbing wall. I don't know if anyone got to do it or participate in any of the climbing wall like classes they have, but I'm always like, I'm terrified of heights, but my goal is to go one time. We have a like 3-story or 2-story climbing wall right outside Dave's office, actually, a little bit over there.
You know, it's funny, you don't even think about the things that are right in front of your face, but the climbing wall, first of all, it's a blast, Kenzie, you should do it. It's one of our most popular facilities. I mean, that thing is open for like 5 or 6 hours every day, and it's really spectacular. Highly recommended.
Yeah, absolutely. It's super cool. They have like different programming through it, which I've always wanted to go, but I can only ever get like one step off and I'm done. But yeah, I think next we can move on a little bit into varsity athletics. And although we're still experiencing some parts of the pandemic, I figured we could touch a little bit on how we're adapting to COVID and talk about a little bit about fall season. So John, I don't know if you want to touch on that, how we're doing.
Sure. We have adapted to COVID and so far so good. Things have gone okay. Last year, through the fall and winter, we were unable to compete, as were almost every school in the country. But in the spring, we started off gingerly, if you will, and got all of our spring sports going in modified seasons. And then this fall, we've gotten back into relatively robust activity. We still are following different protocols and guidelines. Our community is fully vaccinated, other than a handful who have medical or religious exemptions from the vaccine. But for the most part, we're in a bubble type environment. We do testing, so we are right on top of knowing firsthand from test results if we have any issues. And so far through this year, we've had very, very few. Less than 5, I think. But we're practicing safe protocols. We're trying to stay distance where we can. We're staying masked indoors outside is very different, where we're encouraging spacing but not wearing masks. But yeah, we've have conference agreements, we have campus protocols. We're following CDC and New York State guidelines along with Ncaa best practices. And I would say that things are going quite well.
Awesome. So great to hear. I've been enjoying going to the football games when they've been home. It's great to see everyone back on our field. Corey, I was at the last one when we won against Bowdoin. Great.
Oh, the crowd was wonderful.
It was amazing. It was popping off in there. It was so fun. I guess the next question we have, there's one that asked a little bit about how I'm able to manage activities with swimming. I'll let Corey talk a little bit about his experience after. But it's very possible to balance my academics, athletics, and all my other commitments on campus. I work in the admissions office, obviously, as I'm here with all of you today. And I also am part of two clubs that meet weekly. And it really just comes down to like learning to manage my time, but also working with my professors and my coaches and all the people on this campus that are here to support me and getting everything I want to do done. So that includes managing when my work schedule is around my school schedule, but also that we only have practices outside of school hours. So from like, I think it's 9 to 4, our class time. So you're not going to have practices in that time unless you decide you want to go lift at that time or you want to go do something else within that space. But otherwise, that is your school day. And I spend that time doing my homework or grabbing a meal with my friends or doing any of that. And then when it hits 4 o'clock, I get in the pool, do a nice swim practice, and usually either head to a club meeting or to work or to go study in the library. But it's definitely very manageable. And you have so many people here that want to support you in getting everything that you want to do done. And so it's been really, honestly, very manageable. Definitely learn a little bit between your freshman and senior year, but by the time you're in the middle of your freshman year, it's pretty manageable. Corey, I don't know if you have any other advice or experiences.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think it can be very hard to initially find that balance and build a schedule, just getting into the swing of things. But I think the big thing is just talking to your coaches, talking to your professors. On a campus like ours, everybody is very understanding of like what's going on. And, you know, most people know each other. You know, as a pre-med student, I take 2 labs every semester. And, you know, usually those labs are afternoon classes. So I'm getting out of lab on a Monday and a Tuesday at 4 o'clock, maybe a little bit later, depending on what I'm doing. But there's never really a detriment to that. You know, heading over to my sport, my coaches understand that I'm here to be a student first, and that's what's really important. So, you know, there's no backlash for that. They want to see you get your education just as much as you want to. And, you know, so like she said, you can definitely do your studying in between those hours in the morning. They're not going to take away from you, you know, getting your education. That's big.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kenzie, if I may add to your conversation about the student athlete and how, from a coach's perspective, the coaches are really, really dedicated in making sure that practices are scheduled around their student athlete schedules. And that's a really important thing for anyone considering. It's really great to know as a student athlete that you can focus your academics, right, on your day, and then know that your practice won't interfere with that. So that's something I thought I'd add in terms of the coaches understand it and really, really understand that they're at a high academic institution and want to give you every opportunity as a student athlete to excel in both fields, your academics first and then your athletics. So you're supported by your coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. You feel that through and through with your experience here on campus. I've had times where I get out of an advising meeting at 4:30 and my practice started at 4, and I just call my coach and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, but I was in a meeting, and I've never had any problem with that. You're definitely a student first, and it shows throughout all of your experiences here at Hamilton, which is awesome. And it also allows you to have that space to really be yourself and get every aspect of what you want out of college. So jumping in next, like the dynamics between varsity athletics, or athletes, not athletics, varsity athletes and the rest of the student body. Deirdre, do you want to touch a little bit on that, how that works? And then we'll have the student perspective after.
Absolutely. From the coach's perspective, I think that the students have a passion in their athletics. So they're very passionate with that, and they're also passionate with their academics. And the community feel. I was actually just speaking with John and others about this, that it's a sentiment that we want you part of the rest of campus. So if you're, as Corey mentioned, you're getting out of a lab, those individuals that you're having lab with, they may or may not be student athletes. And we encourage you to join clubs, hang out with other people on campus so that you're getting a broad perspective of an education. So you're not here just to be a student athlete, but you're here to be part of the community. And I think coaches really understand that and do the best they can, obviously, to encourage you to engage in other activities on campus. So you really get that full experience. So that's from a coach's perspective. Now that I'm into the administration side, I really see the value of that. I'm engaged with other members on campus, faculty and at large, and everyone is supportive of that, from dining services. When will you get your food? Is that, at a time where you want to get up, eat, and then make class on time? So from that part of it all the way to your classes and your faculty, it's a community environment. And I think one thrives in that. It's a great way to get your education. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Thinking of it from a student perspective, I know a lot of times I get questions from interviews and stuff like that about the relationship, and it's not just varsity athletes and then the rest of the student body. We're really combined in a community. One of my favorite things is having friends either come to my events, or I go to a cappella concerts, or I go to theater productions, and just really the mix between all those things, and even just friends in different circles that aren't necessarily on my team. It's just really a community, and it's such a small, close-knit community that you start to get to know people in every different aspect of campus, which I really love, because it would get a little bit boring if I was stuck with the same 10 people, but I have a whole community that's really there to help me and support me and be my friend, which I really like. Corey, I don't know if you have anything you want to touch on in terms of that.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's tons of things to do, outside of your sport. And once you find your free time, I actually like to pop my head into different teams for the intramural basketball. So kind of like a free agent whenever I get a chance, I do my football practice, or I do my track practice. And then, I talk to my friends, shoot a text message, see if I'm up to it, go shoot hoops, or, go kick a soccer ball around, or, get invested and involved in other clubs. Like this semester, I was really interested in joining the philosophy club. So there's tons of things to do if you're interested in it. And, outside of your sport, you've got everybody on campus. Everybody knows everybody, and you're going to see tons of people over and over again throughout your course of your time here.
Yeah, absolutely. And touching on that, the school spirit is a really fun part about Hamilton. Like I was saying, I like to go to all the different games. I'm a big football and baseball fan, so I go and watch those every year, which is really exciting, and just getting people involved in the different aspects of campus and the spirit of Hamilton. John, I don't know if you have any thoughts on the school spirit here at Hamilton.
Absolutely. It's wonderful. And we have a lot of student athletes who support one another. We have folks who aren't student athletes supporting our athletic teams. Everything that we have is free. So everyone is welcome to come to any event that we have, whether it's indoors or outdoors. There are times based on Ncaa protocols, conference protocols, and Ncaa protocols where we do have to charge, but even in those instances, we step up and the college pays for attendance for our students on campus to participate in being there. So yeah, it's a robust campus. We love the participation. As a matter of fact, I was on a lengthy call today, a Zoom call with the folks at Superfan. We are contracted with Superfan, and that's one of the programs we use to encourage fandom. We encourage anyone in the community to go to an event, log on to their app, show that the GPS will track that you were at the event, and you accumulate points to get different athletic gear and different prizes. And so we're doing a lot to encourage participation at our events. And then we have the the dance team and Heat, another one of our groups, and they perform at halftime. So we try to get a lot of involvement from other groups on campus to be a part of our athletic events.
And I just wanted to add that our school spirit really extends to community service as well. Well, very proud of what the athletic department has done. In my world, we run blood drives 5 or 6 times a year. There's always a team that sponsors the drives, and the Red Cross loves what we do because our community turns out, and we basically have to turn people away. There's so many people that are willing to donate. And I know, John, you could speak to this better than I, that the teams across the board are doing community service all over the community, right?
Oh, absolutely. Every one of our teams is involved in service to the community in some shape or form. For example, our hockey team has what they call the Breaking Bread program, where all of our hockey players are paired off with families in town who have children playing youth hockey, and they become part of the family. And we go to their youth hockey games, and they all come up to our games. We have a lot of our programs involved with service to food pantries. We have a lot of reading going on at schools. We have involvement visiting children in hospitals. Our students are wonderfully engaged in our community. Very proud of everyone.
Yeah, my team's actually headed off to a community service project this weekend, which is pretty exciting. Our first one since COVID kind of hit, and we kind of got put in our little bubble. So we're pretty excited to get back out there and give back in the ways we can. And then we have a question in the chat about if there's a process for walk-ons in terms of for varsity sports, and is this common or does it depend on the sport? I don't know if Deidre, you can touch on that a little bit.
Sure, I can touch on that. And John or Dave, if you want to add anything, that's fine too. So speaking from a coach's perspective, yes, the Division III model encourages participation. And so if a student is accepted into Hamilton and wants to try out for the soccer team or the basketball team or any team, the process is very simple. They approach the coach and the head coach, and they have a conversation. And obviously, if there's been some skill prior to that would allow you to compete at that level, we encourage it. We want to give you an opportunity to participate at the varsity level. A lot of the coaches, of course, do go out and do their recruiting process. But if you are a student that would like to try out for a varsity team, it's a walk-on tryout, and you try out with the rest of the team, and it's a pretty simple process. And then after that, you have a discussion with the head coach, and if everyone's on the same page with being able to compete at a high level, then it's a great win-win. And if that turns out to be where your skill set is at a level where you might enjoy a club sport a little better, then absolutely, that's an easy conversation too. So the Division III model encourages students to participate in any way. So a lot of it is varsity, a lot of it is club sports, like Dave and John have alluded to. I don't know if either of you would like to add to that.
Yeah, I'll just add a little bit more to it, Deidre. Thank you. I would also say that you're always better to be proactive than leaving a coach to be reactive. So if you're listening tonight and you're interested in one of our sports, you should go on our site and go to our athletics site and find that sport. Actually, under one of our tags is recruiting. So you could go into recruiting. We have all of our teams have questionnaires. You could fill out a questionnaire to prompt the coach that you are interested in playing an intercollegiate sport here. Or you could directly send an email to any of our coaches on our staff directory. You can find all of us. And if you aren't getting a response, contact me. So you can find any one of us. We're not that big, and we all answer our own phones and emails. So track us down if you're interested. It usually gives you a little bit of an advantage. But by the same token, as Deidre said, you are more than welcome to walk on to our teams and go through tryout phase and see where you land.
Absolutely. I know lots of my friends who have walked on, and I've seen people walk on inside club swimming was more for them and go that way, but we're open to everyone, which is always awesome. And the coaches are happy to help with anything that they can. They're really awesome people, which is just speaks to the awesome community, honestly. They're really helpful in everything. Oh, we have another question in the chat for Dee and John. In addition to community service, are our varsity athletic teams involved with DEIJ initiatives through Hamilton and Ncaa? So I think that's the diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice.
Sure. I'll jump in, John, if you want to. Actually, you might want to jump in just with some of the history if you'd like, and then I can add on.
Sure. So yes, the short answer is yes, and we'll certainly elaborate. We have done programming here within our own department. We have what we call the Leadership Academy, where we do a lot of leadership programming, which touches on social justice initiatives within the Leadership Academy. But we also have our Coalition of Student Athletes of Color across Ncaa, and we have our own group here at the Hamilton campus. I worked closely with them actually all through this past year as their administrative liaison to the group. We have also done programming both for our coaches and for our student athletes. As a matter of fact, this past year, and Ncaa and Corey, you guys were probably involved in it, but one of the initiatives that SAC put together was having conversations within each team about diversity, equity, and inclusion, promoting conversations within each of those teams about what it means within their own individual teams and for them as individuals, and prompted conversation and gave us very critical and healthy feedback as administrators here in the athletic department about some other initiatives and programming that we ought to consider. Dee will be very involved, and I'll turn it to her.
Thanks, John. One key thing we are actually underway with is the NCAA. First, I should say, as the NCAA's Athletic Diversity and Inclusion Designee, any item or any initiative that the NCAA would like its membership to provide its student athletes, that gets communicated to these designees, and I'm one of those. And we have a very recent campaign that will start actually mid-October. It deals with NCAA inclusion. So the focus is there will be a media push for where our student athletes will participate in what it means to have a voice and have their voice be heard. That's one particular media push or platform. Another one will be, what does it feel like to belong on campus as a student athlete? And in particular, what does that look like for them? That will be different for each person because each person is very different in how they live and how they see the world. So that's one area as well. And then another is, how is your particular team, or how are you as a student athlete championing change in your environment? So as a student athlete, we athletes, and Corey and Ncaa, you can speak to this, you are leaders on the campus just by being part of a varsity sport, as are others, but it is very visible. And so this, the NCAA recognizes the visibility for student athletes on campus, and they like to give you all an opportunity to speak, to have a platform, to share your ideas of what diversity, equity, inclusion looks like for you. So in this, it's lovely that this question is asked, is because we're right in the middle of that. We are going to have that pushed out for the third week of October. That's the campaign timeframe. But as other initiatives come down, that is something our campus is very, very open to, open dialogue. As John alluded to, we got a lot of feedback from our student athletes about great things that are happening, and then areas where we could improve and or change and or better. So that's a great question. I'm really glad that was asked, because it's something I'm passionate about. I know John is passionate about. A lot of our student athletes are. So I don't know if Corey or Ncaa, you care to comment too, but.
Excuse me, I'm actually curious. Didn't we just have one of our students, Kenna Gilmore, win an award?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I was going to touch, we actually did during COVID last year when we were having virtual swim meets, which were an interesting experience. We actually had a combined fundraiser swim meet relay type thing with Middlebury and Colby, where we raised money for diversity in aquatics to get access for underprivileged people to learn how to swim, which was really, really valuable. And we did a whole like conversation with Middlebury and Colby swimmers after doing some readings about diversity in swimming, which was a really cool experience to get to know people in other NESCACs who also cared about what we were learning about. So switching gears a little bit back to just more about the resources and support for athletics on our campus. Does anyone want to touch about, like, John, maybe, or Deidre, about athletic trainers and the equipment available for varsity athletics?
Yes, absolutely. So we have Scott Sidden is our Director of Sports Performance. He's our head athletic trainer. We have a wonderful training room facility. I'd like to think nobody ever needed to use it personally, but it is pretty active in there. And it has everything from cold tubs and hot tubs to taping tables and all kinds of machines and pieces of equipment to help athletes in their rehab. We have a tremendous strength and conditioning program run by Pat Basil. Does a wonderful job with that program. And so yes, we have all of the supports necessary and in place for our student athletes to train both in their own specific sport venue, but also in getting bigger, faster, stronger. And then we have a great medicine staff to help keep you actively working to get bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the trainers. I always like to plug the ice bath, and we have a hot tub too. Those are really fun after a long meet or a long practice to hop in there and relax the muscles a little bit. We also have cupping, which is really cool. Definitely new for me when I came here. And Graston, which is like metal tools. I don't know, Corey's probably experienced some of these in all of his track and football experiences, but the trainers is definitely awesome, as well as the weight room. Definitely some of my favorite places to go in my free time to get either some ice bath or some weightlifting in. The next question just has to do with, like, can varsity athletes study abroad? And the answer is yes. I know 2 friends abroad right now. We're about to start swim season in about 3 weeks, and I got 1 friend in DC and 1 friend in Copenhagen. So definitely opportunities there. It's awesome to know that, like, those opportunities are still open to you. Part of the D3 Hamilton experience is just to really embrace all the opportunities that college has to offer its students. Definitely something I wish, if COVID hadn't hit, I was going to go abroad to Copenhagen. So I'm super, super jealous of my friend who's there right now. But those opportunities are definitely there. And now switching gears, just like a little bit more into club and intramural sports. That's just, which ones are the most popular? We have lots of opportunities. John, I don't know if you want to talk about which ones are the most popular.
Sure. Dave for a long time handled our club sports, but I'll touch on it briefly, and then I'm sure Dave will have more to add to it. But we currently have 17 club sport programs along with our 29 varsity teams. So that's quite an offering. Our club teams are very active. They're in a variety of different leagues depending on the sport. They have access to all the same facilities that our varsity athletes have access to for their sports. And Dave, as I said, can take a much deeper dive into the club programming. As I turn it over to him, I would, from my perspective as the director of athletics, the teams that seem incredibly popular and robust to me would certainly include ultimate frisbee and rugby.
Yeah, I would agree. Just a quick rundown for folks if they haven't seen the website. So we have clubs in rugby for men and women, soccer, men and women, women's basketball, alpine ski, Nordic ski, figure skating, ice hockey, cycling, running, a group with a triathlon club, ultimate frisbee, and curling. Ultimate frisbee has been real popular, especially in the last 5 to 10 years. I think rugby for sure, very popular. But there's a lot of enthusiasm in some of these others. You know, the curling club, they enjoy what they do, and they're into it. I mean, all the clubs are very active. There's, last count I remember, it was over 250 students doing club sports. It's probably more like 300 by now. Some of the clubs are playing in leagues where they're playing almost an intercollegiate-like schedule. So they're playing, you know, in conferences, and they play toward sectional and regional championships. Other clubs have to arrange their own contests with other schools, but they all get it done. And these clubs are open to everybody, and the spirit on these teams is high. And as John said, the facilities are open. I do a lot of scheduling of the facilities, and fortunately, with all the space we have, we're able to accommodate the clubs very well, especially now that we've got this indoor turf facility. I know we're running short on time, and I did want to mention a couple other things about activities. Kenzie, if I have your permission.
Go for it.
Just wanted to mention that in intramurals, we touched on that a little bit, but we have a very active intramural program and the recreation program in general. So they're playing leagues in basketball and volleyball and ice hockey and soccer. But spike ball has become really big, and dodgeball is really big. And we'll do campus-wide tournaments in things like spike ball and dodgeball and tennis and racquetball and squash. And we'll run large events during the year. Like we run a triathlon every year. We've run it for like 15 years now, the Ham Trek. A lot of students participate in that. And we have one coming up this Friday. We have the Ham and Legs 5K. And maybe you're in it. I don't know. Corey, I know you're busy this weekend, but on Friday. And everybody who goes in this race gets this T-shirt. How about this? Huh? So come to Hamilton and be in the 5K, and you get one of these T-shirts. That's my plug.
Absolutely. Thinking about just like the time commitment for club and intramural, what would you say the time commitment normally is for an athlete who wants to?
Well, you know, obviously with club, there's a lot more flexibility there. So, you know, I would think the average club student is probably putting in, you know, 2 to 3 days a week. Their practices are generally around 90 minutes, I would say, but no one's taking attendance. So like I said, there's quite a bit of flexibility. Not to say they're not competitive though. You know, I mean, they're trying to win their games, and they are competitive, and the leagues that some of them are playing in are quite competitive.
Yeah, so just summing up what we've discussed, it's important to note that like athletics is really just a place to find your people, meet new people, and find a place where you belong on campus, as well as like wellness, whether this is varsity, club, or intramural. It's just really a community and a place to become the best version of yourself, both physically, mentally, and just socially. Definitely great time in all the different aspects. I've enjoyed all my gym classes as well as my varsity experiences and club experiences. So next, we're just going to finish up with a lightning round. We're just going to go through, and each person can answer. The first question will be favorite wellness or physical education class offered, or your favorite athletic experience. For me and Corey, I'll start. My favorite athletic experience is definitely Ncaa. It's our championship swim meet against all the other Ncaa. It's so much fun. The bus ride to wherever we're going, just absolutely amazing. And just the thrill of getting out of the pool and hugging your teammates just really makes me feel at home. My favorite. Dave? Ooh.
That's a tough one. Favorite experience. I don't know. I hope I don't steal this one, but it's back a few years now when our women's lacrosse team won the national championship. That was pretty exciting. That was a big deal for us. So that's a great memory. There are many though, but I'm going to point to that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Deirdre?
I'm actually going to point to one prior to, well, it was the NCAA, I think it was Ncaa. John, correct me if I'm wrong, but the men were competing for the Ncaa championship, and that was held at Hamilton. And so that was just a amazing, lively environment right in the field house, and it was rocking. It was a lot of fun,
Yeah, I remember that. John?
Way too many wonderful experiences to nail down one, but since You also included favorite physical education class. I highly recommend the spring bocce ball offering taught by Professor Hind.
Absolutely. Corey?
Yeah, my favorite athletic experience would probably be the Boston University meet that the track team gets into. And I think that was pretty cool because we got to go see some Olympic qualifiers prior to COVID. We competed in a meet where there's just tons of people from, all over the United States competing in track and field. So that was really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And one last lightning round question. One word to describe Hamilton students. I'm going to go last on this one. So Dave, you're up first.
Ambitious. They're shakers and movers. We've got an ambitious group of students here.
Dee?
I'm going to stick with the A word and call it audacity. There's a lot of audacity. If they want something, they're going to go get it. And I love that. Audacious.
Engaged. Everybody's engaged, whether it's in their academic studies, their athletic team, their clubs that they're involved with, their social groups, engagement. And everyone's engaged with one another. It's a wonderful place for building tremendous lifelong relationships.
Absolutely. Corey?
The word I use again and again when I get asked this is probably altruistic. I think the students here just care about everyone around them. So,
yeah. I was gonna say friendly. I love all the Hamilton students I've met. They're all great people. And to finish it up, we're gonna bring Jack back in for one final question and conversation.
Great. Oh, thank you everybody for your thoughts and your contributions tonight. I've certainly learned a lot about athletics and wellness here at Hamilton, and I'm sure that our guests have learned a lot as well. My last question is we're getting into almost October now. The admissions process, I think, is top of mind for all the students that are on the Zoom tonight. And so I just want to pose to you, what's one piece of advice you would provide to a student at this stage of the process? And I'm gonna, Kenzie, since you went last time, I'm gonna throw it to you first this time.
Yeah, I would say just relax. Everything's gonna be okay. I'm actually currently also applying to master's program, so I feel like I'm kind of there with you. And every time I get stressed, I just flash back to my brother deciding the night of 20 minutes before he had to submit his deposit to his school where he was going, and then transferring within a semester, and just everything works out amazingly. Even if it doesn't go the way you think it's gonna go, it's all going to work out the exact way it's supposed to, no matter what that course is. So just deep breaths.
Thank you for that, Kenzie. Corey, you want to go next?
Yeah, my piece of advice would be that Hamilton is the correct answer.
Great answer, Corey. Appreciate that. John?
Yeah, Corey stole mine, to be honest. That's what I was about to say. But I would say don't overthink it. That we're a wonderful place. Get around, investigate, do your search, and we'll see you up here on the hill.
Dee?
I would say fit. What is your fit? And it's a feeling. You're going to get pummeled with all kinds of questions, and you're going to do your pros and cons. And what is the fit for you? And it doesn't take much. You'll know it pretty quickly. And Hamilton offers that. It's a good fit.
Great. Thank you very much. And Dave?
Well, do what you've all been doing. Do your homework, do your investigation, ask the right questions, and take it seriously, take it to heart. And if you do all those things, as John said, we'll be seeing you, your application very soon. So good luck.
Awesome. Well, great. Thank you all for those wonderful answers. I mean, you summarized what I usually say, which is just do what you've been doing. Ask as many questions as you have. So thank you for all those who asked questions tonight. Thank you to our panelists, and thank you to Kenzie as our moderator. We hope you've been able to learn more about athletics and wellness here at Hamilton. If we didn't get to your question tonight, please feel welcome to reach out to us at admission@hamilton.edu. You can also check out a recording of this event at hamilton.edu/discover, and also any kind of upcoming virtual panels that we're having. Thank you very much again for joining us. We hope you have a great evening and a great rest of your fall. Take care. Thank you.